Welcome to the island of Koh Lipe in Thailand. I've been surviving here for the past week, pushing my human limits against the natural courses. I'm going to share with you how I've been surviving this past week and able to maintain homeostasis. The temperatures here don't get too hot, but in the hottest times of the day, out in direct sunlight, there is a risk of dehydration. So I have to keep my water replenished, and I can do that with a natural stream found on the island. It hooks up with a spring so that way the water does not have any salt in it, and I can use fruit shells to carry it back to my camp. The terrain here is small mountains. It's surrounded by ocean, and there are some creeks and caves on the island. The dangers include the heat of the day, the lack of food, and wild animals. Food sources I can find on this island: for carbohydrates I have coconut milk. For my proteins I can catch birds and other small animals. For my lipids, I've been using nuts from trees and fish. I find my water from springs on the island. There's small creeks throughout the island that carry the fresh water from the springs. Once I collect the water though, I have to put it in the shell of the coconuts and boil it over the fire so that way I can boil out any bacteria and I don't get sick. It's very humid and hot here in the middle of the day, so I have to stay in the shade in the heat of the day so that way I don't sweat too much and lose all my nutrients and water. Some of the natural disasters that occur here are hurricanes. At the beginning of the week, there was a big hurricane that came through, and I had to stay sheltered back in the woods, so that way I was protected from all the flying debris and massive amount of winds and rains. The waves also were crazy. They were crushing up on the shore, and there was a potential I could have been washed away in the storm. Some of the ways humans have infected this environment is there's lots of trash on the beaches and the woods. This trash is being washed up on the shores from garbage thrown into the oceans. This has caused a shortage of fish because the fish and other creatures are mistaking the trash as food and eating those, so it has been harder to find food and survive on this island. You can see my home camp here. I have my fire to cook my food over, and then the woods back there to protect me from the natural disasters. I also use the woods during the heat of the day to help shade me, and it's also cooler, so that way I don't sweat as much and lose my water supply. Thankfully, whenever I was stranded here, I had my trusty pocket knife. I used this to help carve out tools from wood and spears to hunt wild animals and fish. It has been a struggle, but thankfully, someone was able to rescue me, and after a week of surviving here at Koh Lipe, I was able to survive because of my knowledge learned in this biology class. Thank you, Mr. Strom.